All right, friends, it is the start of a new week, meaning we are on to the next week of the Pantry Challenge. Tonight am just gonna do something very fresh and from the garden. So I'm just laid out some lemon chicken that we made together during our freezer series. And so that's just a freezer meal. Then to go along with that, I have some fresh tomatoes and peaches. So we're gonna do a peach tomato caprese type salad. I just don't have any basil, so I think we're gonna do some mozzarella, some white balsamic, and that'll kind of tie in with the lemon flavor. And then I'm just going to roast up some squash as well. So let's go ahead, or I guess green zucchini. So let's go ahead and get started on dinner. Okay, let's go ahead and get our tomatoes and peach sliced up. And I want everything to be kind of the same thickness because we've got the pre-sliced nice mozzarella. So I want these to kind of be a little bit thicker just to be on like the same size. And I am going to cut these in half because we will have our peaches cut in half in order to get around the pit. It smells so good. And I'm just going to line these up like that. And then let's go ahead and cut our peach. Hopefully we can get it off the pit just cutting it in half. Sometimes they can be, oh yeah, perfect. And I did pick this peach up from our local farmer's market this past weekend. It's a Palisade peach, which are the absolute best. They are so good. So I'm just going to cut these like so. That looks perfect. Okay, I'm gonna leave these here and I'm not gonna assemble until we're ready to eat just because sometimes the cheese starts running. I'm gonna get the zucchini cut up. And this would be really fast if we used a mandolin, but I'm going for limited dishes tonight. Okay, just like that, we are all prepped for dinner. I just need to get cooking. So first thing I'm doing is just laying out the tomato, peach, and mozzarella. You can see I'm doing it in order and then just rotating between the three. Towards the end of this dinner, we do end up topping it with some nice olive oil and a lemon balsamic, but I wait until the end just to make sure that everything stays fresh. When you're working with fresh mozzarella like this, it does tend to run a little bit, so I like to be a little bit careful of that. Then I'm just topping it with some red pepper flakes and a little bit of freeze-dried basil. If my basil was doing better in my garden, I would definitely have fresh, but we're working with what we have. Next, we're going to go on and start cooking the chicken. So I'm just heating up our pan here and laying it down. Again, this is that lemon chicken that we had made together during our freezer meals. And we do have one piece here that's a little bit thicker than the rest, so that one will take a little bit longer to cook, but nothing crazy. Then I'm getting going on the side. So here we have some really yummy garlic infused olive oil. I'm just laying that down to heat, then adding in some onions. We'll then throw in some garden zucchini, and we're just going to whip that together really nicely. I like to use the flavorful olive oil for this because the flavors really do come out, and it's such a simple dish. I feel like you can really taste the really high quality ingredients in it. This really is one of my favorite meals in the summer. I love how summer meals can just be so fresh and quick to pull together and also so healthy. It's just so easy to just pull all of these ingredients off of the land and have a meal so cheap and so quick and always ready to go. So I am now testing the chicken, and you can see I like my chicken at 165, and that's exactly where it was. So I went ahead and pulled these off. I find if you get it past 165 too much, it starts to get dry and a little bit tough. So always make sure your chicken gets to 165, and then you're good to go. Then I'm just topping my tomatoes and peaches and mozzarella with some nice olive oil again and that lemon balsamic. All right, friends, so we are getting ready for dinner. I am just going to be making us some wild turkey that Sam hunted for in the spring. and then I think in April, I want to say. And then I'm just making myself a sweet potato and Sam a russet potato. Those are kind of the potatoes we like the best. So all I'm doing is just quickly stabbing these with a fork. It couldn't be any easier. And then I'm going to stick these in the oven until they're fork tender at about 350 degrees. So it could be a little while, but I'm going to get going on those first just because they'll take the longest, and then we'll get going on our turkey. Alright, so first things first for this, we need to make some seasoned salt. We really love Lowry seasoning salt, but we're out, and this is Pantry Challenge, so we're going to make our own, and honestly, it's probably going to be a much healthier version. So we're going to start out with 1/3 cup of salt. Then to that, we're going to do 3½ teaspoons of sugar. 1, 2, 3 1/2. And then we need 1½ teaspoons of cornstarch, and this is just like a thickening agent. 1/2. All right, then I need 1½ tablespoons of celery salt. And I do have a half. Hey Google, stop. And I do have a 1/2 tablespoon. I just eyeballing it is fine. We need 1 tablespoon of paprika. And that might be all the paprika I have. We have just a little bit left. And then we need 1½ teaspoons of onion powder. So this is a 1/2 teaspoon, so we'll do 3 of these. 1, 2, 3. I think onion powder smells so good. We need 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, and this is that Penzeys roasted garlic powder. It is so good. This is again 1/2 teaspoon. Then we need 1 teaspoon of turmeric, and this is just for color. It's also good for your digestion. And then we need just a little bit of cayenne. Perfect. I like to do things in jars as I just stick a lid on it and shake it, and that's how we'll combine it. All right, I'm gonna get these spices put away and we will get going on the turkey. Okay, you guys, this was the first time we ever had this recipe, and we have made it a couple of times since. It is so, so yummy, and you can definitely substitute out the turkey for chicken if you prefer. So we're actually using wild turkey that Sam hunted for this past spring. So we love eating wild game because it's really fun to think back on the hunts, especially when we do them together. And while we're eating, we always talk about the hunts, and it's honestly just one of my favorite things. And the meat is really, really good, really clean, and we know where it came from. So you can sub this out for chicken or whatever kind of white meat. I think it'd be really good with pheasant as well. Completely up to what you like. But here I'm just going ahead and trimming off the bits that I don't necessarily want to eat, and then I'm also making the pieces pretty uniform. We're gonna bake these, and so it's important that each of the pieces are pretty similar in size in order to get a proper cook on them. If you have really big pieces mixed together with really small, it's gonna be a little bit more tough for that. So this recipe is one that I actually found on Facebook, and I think Sam actually messaged it to me one day and said we should try this because we struggle with turkey being dry, and we were thinking with the kind of mayo going on top, it might help lock in the juices, and it did just that. So for this, you're going to combine 1 cup of mayo, or to make it healthier, you can use Greek yogurt. You need 1½ teaspoons of seasoning salt, which we made together, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, a 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper, 1/2 cup of Parmesan cheese, and then 2 pounds of whatever meat you want. So you're going to mix all of that together and then add in about half of the cheese. So here I'm just using the Parmesan that is already shredded. If you use not pre-shredded Parmesan and shred your own, it's going to melt a lot better, but I'm just using what I have since we're in the pantry challenge. And then you're going to save the second bit of Parmesan, and we're going to add that on top later as kind of like a pretty little finish. So you can see here we're combining everything. Make sure it's really, really well combined, and then you're just going to layer it on top of the turkey. I did spray the baking dish prior to laying the turkey in, just to make sure it didn't stick on the bottom, but if you're using mayonnaise, you probably won't have that issue. I would just highly recommend it if you're using Greek yogurt. So we're just going ahead and spreading it out. Then I'm going to top it with the rest of the cheese, and you bake it at 350 degrees until it is 165 degrees internal, and it is so, so delicious. Here you can see we paired it with some potatoes, fruit salad, and I put parsley on top. All right, friends, I want to give you a taste of a normal type of lunch that I oftentimes have if we don't have any leftovers. So I like to make sure I'm getting vegetable, fruit, protein, all the good stuff in there. So here I just have some pepperoni. I love this pepperoni. I get it at the deli counter, and what's great about it is you can freeze it. And I like to just freeze it in like chunks of 4, because that's how many I will eat for a lunch. So that way I can just pull it out of the freezer. It literally takes 5 minutes to defrost, just sitting out at room temperature. Then I have some mozzarella cheese here, so I'm just going to cut up some pieces, and then I can have some mozzarella with my pepperoni. This one got a little crazy when I was shredding it last time, so we'll just eat that piece. And then I like to just make little pieces like this. And then I know it's not really, but I feel like mozzarella is kind of strong, so I cut it into thirds. And then I like to have the same number of cheeses as I do meats, because I'm just like that, so that's close enough. Take a little piece for a sample. And then I have a carrot here. If you have a nicer looking carrot or a garden carrot, you don't need to peel it, but this carrot's seen better days, so I'm gonna go ahead and give it a peel. Give these to the animals. And then this end's not looking great, so we're gonna cut that off, and then I just cut it into little sticks. Like that. Then I'm gonna cut up this peach that I previously washed. If you want, you could just eat the peach whole. For some reason, I don't love the fuzzy on peach, but I find that if I cut it, the peach fuzz doesn't really bother me, so I just cut it into little pieces, and then I don't have to peel it. I could definitely peel this peach if I wanted to, but I'll just eat this with a fork. Perfect. Let's grab some of our pre-cut cucumbers. These are just from the garden. And then finally, a hard-boiled egg, just to make sure we're getting enough protein in. What I love about these is they're like adult Lunchables. I get kind of tired of like the same thing. So I find that if I have a lot of variety, it makes me feel a lot more satisfied with my meals. And these are great because you're just kind of cleaning out whatever the heck you have in the fridge. So at the beginning of the week, I'll just boil a bunch of eggs, and then I just keep them in the shell. That way they don't smell up the refrigerator, to be honest. And I'm gonna give this a quick wash. Then no matter what the day throws at me, I know I have either a healthy breakfast or a healthy lunch all ready to go. I'm just going to cut that in half, like so. Then I like just a tiny bit of salt on my egg, along with some pepper. And my favorite thing on an egg, hot sauce. Then in this container, I just have some spicy honey mustard that was made here in Casper. I got it at the farmer's market a while back. I'm just gonna do a little container of that, and then I can dip my veggies in there. So that's my lunch. It looks like a ton of food, but honestly, these things aren't super filling. This is kind of where we get the filling from. This is just really good, crunchy, yummy. So I'm gonna go enjoy this. I hope this inspires you that you can really throw together a super simple, healthy lunch really quickly. This maybe took 5 minutes. Eating healthy does not have to be hard or time consuming or overly expensive. So I'm gonna enjoy this, and I'll catch you next time I'm cooking. Tonight is leftover night. We are using the turkey to make turkey enchiladas. All right, so here's our turkey all cut up. All right, and then just to add a little bit of freshness to it, we have, I think this is a poblano from the garden. Since poblanos are traditionally not very spicy, I'm not worried about the seeds, although those just came right out, so that works. And I'm just gonna cut this up pretty small, and we're gonna put that in our turkey. Let's give that a stir. Perfect. Then I'm just going to add in a little bit of our sauce. That's probably good. Mix that around. And then I'm gonna add in a little bit of cheese. Then once the rice is done, we're gonna kind of make like a cilantro lime rice, like Chipotle. And then we will get to filling. In the meantime, I know I'm gonna wanna top this off with some garden tomatoes, so I'm gonna get that cut up. And then maybe some more peaches, shocker, and something else for a side. All right, we're gonna cut up a tomato to top our enchiladas with. We'll eat this part fresh. And I'm gonna cut these kind of into squares. I'm making a mess over here, but that's all right. There's our tomato. Yum. All right, our rice is done. So we're just gonna give it a quick fluff. Let me grab a hot pad. Perfect, nice and fluffy. So this could not be any simpler. All we're gonna do is just put a tiny bit of olive oil in there, a little bit of salt, a good amount of cilantro, and my cilantro in my garden went to seed, so we're gonna use some freeze-dried cilantro, and some lemon juice. That is the secret. And we're just gonna give that a nice mix. There is our cilantro lime rice all ready to go. All right, it is assembly time. So I just have these corn tortillas, and let me try to roll one and see. Okay, I think they'll hold just fine. Sometimes if your corn tortillas are breaking, if you dip them in some enchilada sauce first to like wetten them and then put your filling in. So all we're gonna do for this is I'm going to start by laying down just a little bit of enchilada sauce, just enough to cover the bottom. There we go. know. I like to just pull the top back a little because I feel like it gives me better control. Otherwise, sometimes I get a little crazy when I'm doing sauces out of a can. So there's that, just enough to cover the bottom. Oh, and I was gonna add some shredded cheese to this. So I just have some mozzarella here. It's not ideal, but it's better than nothing. I'm just going to add a little bit of that in and then mix that around. That'll kind of help bind everything too. All right, so I'm just going to take a scoop of our turkey filling. And a scoop of rice. Hopefully we'll be able to that should work. Very loosely roll. The way I look at it is if it doesn't hold together, then we have a casserole instead. And that's fine by us. I feel much more confident about that one. All right, here's our enchiladas. I'm just going to cover them with a good amount of sauce. I'm gonna call that good. And then we're just going to grate a little bit of cheese on top. Again, if I had thought and defrosted out my Mexican cheese or cheddar cheese, I would definitely do that, but this is better than no cheese in my opinion. All right, there's that. Into the oven, 350 degrees until everything's melted. And here's a look at the final product. I want to thank each and every one of you for being here, and I will catch you all in the next one. Bye, friend.